Cyberpunk 2077 is an amazing game. It is a game with a complex story, vibrant metropolis life, and dynamic characters, with so many different choices that make you feel like you truly are the character. From the stealthy hacker that slowly cleans out a building while never stepping a foot in it, to the gunslinger psycho that sprints into a building, slowing time and putting bullets into anybody that may get in the way. The game gives you options on how you want to play. Cyberpunk 2077 is an amazing game. So why has it taken 2 years for the majority to come to that conclusion? Before we answer that question, let's give some context on the history behind the game. Cyberpunk 2077 was announced to be in development in May of 2012. The game was being developed and produced by CD Projekt Red. In case you don't know who this company is, CD Projekt Red is the company responsible for giving us the fantastic Witcher games. This includes The Witcher 3, which is a game that won over 800 awards, making this the most awarded game of all time. This covered every detail of the game, including Best Audio, Best PC Game, 10 Best RPG Awards, Best DLC, Best Gaming Moment, Best Developer, Best Graphics, and 251 Game of the Year awards. This being the most awards any game has ever received, including the most Game of the Year awards ever received until the release of The Last of Us 2 5 years later, when it won 261 Game of the Year awards, beating The Witcher 3 by 10 awards. It took 5 years for another game to pass The Witcher 3 in Game of the Year awards. 5 years! In these 5 years, some big games had come out, such as Overwatch, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War, and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, just to name some heavy hitters. So as you can tell, The Witcher 3 is a very big deal, as it manages to stay the most awarded game of all time, even through some of the most colossal game releases. Now you are probably wondering why I'm wasting your time talking about The Witcher 3 when I'm supposed to be talking about Cyberpunk. The reason is that I need to hammer home the love that fans have for this development studio, and so that you can understand the expectations that people had for the release of Cyberpunk. Now, Cyberpunk 2077 was in development for almost 8 years, with the game finally being released on December 10th, 2020. In that time, Cyberpunk received 8 million pre-orders, and in the first 10 days of its release, it had 13 million copies downloaded and sold, which earned the company $563 million in revenue. This is not surprising, considering they had one of the most beloved actors of all time on their team, Keanu Reeves. This man was already a beloved actor, but when you add in his appearance at E3, you get one of the best things CD Projekt Red could ever have asked for. And it was all a coincidence. At this E3 event, Keanu Reeves took the stage to promote the brand new game Cyberpunk 2077. When he did so, he was received with applause as expected. But something unexpected also happened. Something that would go down in history books as one of the most repeated quotes of all time. Fan in the audience screams, and Keanu, with his quick reflexes and 1000 IQ brain, responds,
"You're breathtaking!"
This led to the best marketing any company could ever ask for. Memes. Now, memes are a fickle thing. They can either mock you into oblivion, such as, "It's Morbin time!" Or they can lift you up and make you even more beloved than ever before. This was the case with Keanu Reeves' "You're breathtaking." Now, December 10th, 2020, millions of fans are waiting eagerly to download the release of the ever-so-hyped Cyberpunk 2077. Many start their game and are face-to-face with this.
Jackie!
Come on, V! Shoot!
Cyberpunk 2077 will not work on consoles, and will not work on any PC with anything less than the best gear. Even if you could manage to get into the game on the PC, you are face to face with so many game-breaking glitches that for some, the game was unplayable. It seemed CD Projekt Red had released their game way too early and was not truly ready for release. This led to reportedly 30,000 refunds for the game. This was reported to have cost the company $2.2 million and was later released that it actually cost them $51 million. With all of these mockable offenses, Cyberpunk 2077 found itself on the opposite side of the meme spectrum. This leading to the death and funeral of Cyberpunk. Now, I was one of the lucky few whom had it on PC and had just recently upgraded my hardware, so I was able to play the whole game with only a few aggravating bugs. I, however, finished the game, and very controversially, loved the game. I was lucky, but many people were not. This led to the majority opinion being that Cyberpunk was a trash game, and honestly with good reason to think so. From the release date of Cyberpunk to the current date of October 9th, 2022, CD Projekt Red has been releasing huge updates to make the game more than playable. They fixed a ton of in-game bugs that broke the game, and even released some quality of life changes that made the game feel more immersive, such as the wardrobe transmog system, where you can create an outfit that will always be displayed on your character, even when you switch what you actually have equipped on your character. The only problem was that not too many people cared. They had already been scorned and never wanted to play the game again. And that is where the majority opinion would lie until September 13th, 2022, when one of the most genius marketing events took place. This is when the spectacular anime Cyberpunk Edgerunners was released. This anime was produced by one of the most well-known studios in the world, Studio Trigger. If this name sounds familiar to you, it's probably because you've heard of their shows, such as Kill la Kill, Darling in the Franxx, B&A, Brand New Animal, and Star Wars Visions. Edgerunners is a 10-episode anime that shows the gritty world of Cyberpunk in its fullest, and gives you some characters to truly grow to love. The story of David Martinez is one full of pain, love, glory, and suffering. His story is one that captivates and keeps us wanting to know what happens next. With it only being 10 episodes, Edgerunners is an easy anime to get through. This has led many people to watch it and fall in love with the Cyberpunk world. But don't just take my word for it. This shows in the numbers. The analytics for Cyberpunk on Steam show that the peak players for August 2022, the month before Edgerunners came out, was 10,411. Whereas the peak for September on Steam, when Edgerunners came out, was 43,297. And in the last 30 days as of filming this video, is 62,389 players. This, however, is only the analytics for Steam. This does not include PlayStation, Xbox, Epic Games Store, or anywhere else you may be able to play Cyberpunk 2077. This show was so well received that it put this broken, disastrous trash pile back into the limelight, and people once again gave it a second chance. This show did so well, in fact, that CD Projekt Red went ahead and showed their plans for the future. This news included information that a second Cyberpunk game was in the works. Now that you can see the timeline of this game, you can understand how the release of the game destroyed the faith people had in CD Projekt Red. You can also see how the genius of the marketing team led to the initial sales of the game, and also the redemption of the game. CD Projekt Red certainly had a rough start with this game and destroyed their reputation, but thanks to their transparency and their innovative marketing, they pulled themselves out of the gutter and are back on pace to be one of the most beloved development companies of all time. The future of Cyberpunk looks brighter than ever before. With an expansion on the horizon and a second game to keep the franchise going, it seems the future of the brand could be pretty nova.